Hello, everybody. Good morning to all of you. This is Mark speaking, and I'm welcoming you for this webinar today. We'll just wait for another 2 minutes max for some more people to join before we get started. So thanks for being here already, and thanks for another minute of your time to be patient before we get started. Okay, good. So welcome everyone, or welcome back. This is Mark speaking. I'm the product line manager of the SmartNode product line at Patton, and I'm happy to have you all on this webinar today, talking about the virtual SmartNode. With me today, I have Jennifer. So Jennifer, a lot of you know already. She is assisting me today with some questions that you can ask during the session. So hello, Jennifer. Good morning.
Good morning, Mark. Thanks everybody for attending today.
Very good. Okay, so we'll just get started right in. So we have a pretty packed agenda for today. There is a lot of information I would like to convey over to you, and I'm really happy about the today's presentation about the new product, the new launch we are doing for the virtual SmartNode. Just one little thing on the logistics side of things. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to type them in to the panel that you have on your computer as illustrated here on the image. So we will go through those during the webinar. However, we have some time reserved at the end to do some Q&A. Now, let's get started with the webinar. So we want to get started with some information about the market, about its transformation towards virtualization. So virtualization isn't something Patton invented or something that's really new. So it all started many years ago, even for the enterprises and also for the small enterprises. So before the virtualization started there, the infrastructure was built in a way that like servers or services were all done on dedicated hardware. So that was shifted into the virtualization, so where there was no dedicated hardware required anymore, but sort of a server farm, so to speak, where on top the different servers or services were installed, encapsulated in containers, the hypervisors they're called, which is the baseline of the virtualization. So by saying that, Patton also came with a product which we're launching now that goes exactly into that virtualization. That is there already, even down to the small enterprises. And I mean, the benefits doing virtualization in the enterprise, they're quite obvious as I have listed them here. So first of all, on the hardware side, there is a reduction in cost of the hardware, so it can be better utilized doing virtualization, and of course there is less energy cost to maintain and operate such an infrastructure. Another thing is that it allows a faster, simpler, easier setup of services or servers, doing that in a virtualized environment, and with that it also allows a simpler and a faster recovery in case there is something happening. So there is no need to go on premise, to go on site, changing a hardware server just to make sure that the service is running again. So instead, you would just start a new virtual machine on the disaster recovery laid out hardware infrastructure that is out there. So overall, it provides a productivity increase. And by saying that, the SmartNode is following all that. The SmartNode, as you know it up to today, piece of hardware performing different kinds of functionalities, which is now going to be available independent on the hardware. So all the functions a SmartNode is providing, you can now get on virtualized platform, on virtual platforms, on hypervisors such as VirtualBox or VMware, but also in the Microsoft space, the SmartNode can be run on a Hyper-V as well. Now, going into a bit more detail, what Virtual SmartNode can do or is doing, and also how the functional principle looks like. So I try to illustrate that in that picture here. So you can easily see it's serving for different purposes, so different use cases. So you can start multiple Virtual SmartNode instances on one hypervisor, but it can also be on different hypervisors, of course. And depending on the features that are licensed out of the cloud, you can build your Virtual SmartNode together the way you would like to have it. Whether the SmartNode is serving terminating a zip trunk, going to an IP PBX, or if it's just there as a security or service demarcation element in a UCaaS environment. The Virtual SmartNode will do its job there. And you'll just learn about the benefits and the beauties in having a virtualized SmartNode instead of a piece of hardware. Now, the zip trunk use case, as I just started to talk about before, will look like this in a simple way. The virtual SBC, the SmartNode in this case, on the bottom side here will work alongside with an IP PBX. And as we all know, nowadays, the IP PBX isn't necessarily a piece of software together with hardware. So also these PBXs are being virtualized. So there, in that sense, we have done some nice projects with early customers there already, where the virtual SmartNode acting as an ESBC, terminating the zip trunk, works alongside with a virtualized PBX where the phones are connecting to. And also another thing here, as you can see, we support multi-WAN access link termination here, so which allows for switching from one link to the other for survivability reasons, but also for load sharing. There is a lot of benefits with that. Talking about the IP PBXs, as you probably have seen, we've recently done the validation with Skype for Business. So that's also a nice use case where the Virtual SmartNode acting as an ESBC can be used. And again, we support the Microsoft Hyper-V, which will work very well in a Skype for Business Microsoft environment. Similar to the zip trunk termination, the SBC, the virtual SBC in this case, can also be used if the PBX is hosted on the service provider side. So again, the same principle here, where all the functional things in terms of software licenses are coming out of a centrally managed location out of the patent cloud. So the functions, again, what a usual SBC would do, but in this case, it's a virtual SBC, service demarcation, all the security aspects, interoperability, quality of service, and so on and so forth. And because we have a dual stack, IP dual stack, it can also undertake conversions on the IP protocol, whether you're using IPv4 on the LAN side and IPv6 on the WAN side. So also for this kind of conversion, the virtual SmartNode SBC can be used for that. So the advantages of a virtual SBC over a hardware SBC, there's literally no capex with that for the installation. So it's a pay-as-you-go service. So an SBC as a service, so to speak. There is no need for an on-premise hardware installation, like a purpose-built CPE installation, requiring an engineer to go out and do all the cabling and stuff. So really, you can just utilize the infrastructure that is there already at the customer premise at the enterprise. Because it's virtualized, there is no performance limitations other than the hardware infrastructure that is there already at the enterprise. And with that, it's fast and there is an instant installation, and it allows a flexible, scalable effect due to the virtualization. And then there's, of course, other use cases that you can address with a virtual SmartNode. So we intentionally call it virtual SmartNode and not virtual SBC, because it's more than just the virtual SBC, as you may probably find it on from competitors, right? So it's really virtual SmartNode that is capable of undertaking different kinds of functionalities, serving different needs enterprise a customer has. So as illustrated here, the virtual SmartNode can also act as an IP router, access link termination, where it can do load balancing and failover functionalities across multiple WAN links. And also another functionality could be that the SmartNode would act as a VPN link terminator if you have remote office workers wanting to connect to the corporate's network. So they would set up a VPN tunnel, whereas the VPN tunnel is going to be terminated, managed, and handled by the virtual SmartNode. Okay, so the functions of the virtual SmartNode in this case, multi-WAN link support and management, load balancing for survivability purposes as well, the high availability, but also the standard functionalities you would expect from a IP type of router device. And again, the IPv6, IPv4 dual stack that we have allows a lot of things that can be solved and addressed with the virtual SmartNode. And again, here, the benefits, it's simple. It can be automated to a large extent, which saves time, saves money. And again, it's scalable. So it's actually you or the installer defining the amount of CPU performance and memory you would like to address, or you would like the SmartNode, the virtual SmartNode, to be used. And so that can be changed. And with that, it's a very flexible solution. Now, so
Mark,
much about the
Mark,
theory. Yes, Jennifer?
Just do a little bit of a question. I have one question out there right now. Here is a question from Jeff. Jeff would like to know, he's connecting a SNOM PA1 with a hosted 3CX. He said, besides phones, I want to connect a remote SNOM PA1 with a hosted 3CX. Will this work for that?
As long as it's using SIP signaling protocol and regular RDP, yes, then it's of course something that is supported. So the SmartNode acting as an SBC, doing back-to-back user agent, which is great for service demarcation. So really separating the different network segments up to the SIP layer in the protocol stack. So yes, of course, that's a viable use case that can be addressed by the virtual SmartNode.
Great, thank you.
Good, and yeah, if there are more questions, Jennifer, just let me know. In the meanwhile, I'll just start with a little demo here. So what I have here is my virtual box where I prepared 2 virtual SmartNodes that I'm going to start right now. So SmartNode number 1, I'm starting here. SmartNode number 2, I'm starting as well. And so for the technicians out there, this probably looks familiar to you. So it really looks like a regular SmartNode that is starting. Once it has been booted up, we're gonna see it logging into the patent cloud. So that's something that I prepared already in order for your SmartNodes in general, not just the virtual SmartNodes, to appear in your organization under the patent cloud. So it's pretty easy, pretty simple. Just copy and paste a few lines here. So those lines need to be copied in to the configuration, and then the SmartNode will appear under the device list. Of course.
Yeah. Copy those lines into the CLI config, a device that connects to the cloud, and it appears right on.
Absolutely correct. Yes. However, also this step can be automated, of course. So supporting the zero-touch provisioning, the redirect functionality, which is also part of the patent cloud. So with that, this step can be automated, of course. So there is no need to do a manual copy and paste. But just for the simplicity, I was just showing it how it is done. And it's actually a few lines that need to be copied in. The most important one is the one with the key in it. Now, let's go to one of those smart nodes that I have here. So smart node number 1. So this is my virtual smart node that is running on my PC in a virtualized environment. So on this virtual box. What we can see here, going into more details what the virtual smart node is concerned, first of all, we see the status and the Ethernet connection that is green. So we see the device is online, so it's actually connected to the patent cloud, from where we can undertake several kinds of functionalities. But in addition to that, of course, there's a lot of information available. So first of all, the location, so you can see where I'm based actually. So in Switzerland, where I'm running this smart node. On the right-hand side, we have the licensing information, and I'll just come to that a bit into more details in a few seconds. The provisioning information, if it is configured, is going to be listed down here on the bottom right. There is more information available. For instance, software updates or software management, so to say, can be done out of the patent cloud for the virtual smart node. So it's just a few clicks away performing a software upgrade. Go to the drop-down menu here, select the right software that you would like to load. You can even define when this should be done, should be executed, either just now or at midnight or at noon, or you can define a custom time date when this should be happening. Then there is 2 options for the execution of the software update. So either graceful, so then it will wait for all the calls to be terminated. For instance, at midnight, this is usually the case when the client is not doing any phone calls, or you can do it in a forced manner where the update is just going to be done. Click schedule button, everything is going to be done. Then there is more health information about the smart node. Because I just started it recently, there is not a lot of data available here, but you can see the CPU utilization, RAM utilization, and so on, and also the calls that are being handled on this smart node. Since I'm not doing any calls, it's empty here. More statistics on the network side, so Ethernet port information with actual TX RX traffic flowing through the network interfaces that is being shown here, and also the status information. So if everything is green, then everything is fine, all the interfaces are up. Same kind of thing on the right-hand side here, what the calls is concerned. So based on the SIP interfaces, so those who are familiar with the configuration of a smart node would know what this means. So the SIP interfaces are being represented here. So my smart node just has 2. If there's more, of course, they're going to be listed as well. Good. And there is much more that you can do out of the patent cloud. So the portal that is available 24/7 from everywhere in the world where there is internet connectivity. Configurations can be managed out of the patent cloud. So there you want to look at your running config, your startup config. The logs can be looked at, of course, as well, in order to determine any problem that might occur. The files can be stored in the cloud as well, from where you can set up your provisioning also. And then there is a few presets on commands that you can do. For instance, you can query the system information, and here you get the live data from the smart node. There's a terminal emulation functionality that allows you to connect to all your smart nodes running out in the field. So you see it's just one click away. You have a full access to the CLI from where you can configure the smart node. And the same thing applies to the web interface, which you can access through the patent cloud as well. So which really saves a lot of time, not requiring an engineer to be sent out to the customer premise to do whatever configuration changes to the smart nodes. Good. So much about all the status information, about all the options that the Patent Cloud gives you to manage the smart nodes. And it's not particularly the virtual smart nodes, but every smart node that is running the latest operating system can be managed out of the Patent Cloud. So now I want to switch over to the licensing, which is an important aspect of the virtual smart node. Starting with the license pool. So that's the pool of licenses that I own. So this would look similar in your case. I'm just switching here, going here to the SIP sessions. So we see here that I'm owning 660 SIP sessions. So that's what my pool has currently. And we also see that there is a 178 SIP sessions being used by some devices. We can also see by this little bar here what the high watermark was at the given point in time. So what was the max of SIP sessions that I've leased out to the devices. On the right-hand side, a bit more of a detailed view about the license distributions. So these green little pie pieces here show me the smart nodes, how many SIP sessions they have. So my virtual smart nodes both have 30 SIP sessions each. And the gray part here is the license pool. So I still have 482 SIP sessions available. You can also see down here the history information about the license distribution over time. So that gives you the statistics that you require operating the smart nodes. The way the license management is done is through profiles. So you can come up and create your own profiles that matches the services best that you're delivering to your clients. For instance, if you have an offering for 30 SIP sessions on a gateway or on an SBC down here, so you would set that up in this way. Now, how is this being applied to the smart nodes? And I'm taking the virtual smart node here. So we see my virtual smart node number 1 is running on the profile SBC 30, and I want to change that to SBC 10. So by just one click, I'm changing the profile. That means this smart node has now less licenses, and you can see it here actually. So before it was running on 30 SIP sessions, or 30 SIP sessions were assigned to this smart node, and now it just has 10. And in this way, you can just go on and adapt the performance, the capability of the smart node, the capacity of the smart node actually simple in a few mouse clicks. So if a client requires more SIP sessions from now on for the next couple of days, few mouse clicks, and this is done. So it's a really easy, scalable solution. Great. Now I'm switching back here again, and we'll just go through some of the administrative things. So how to order a virtual smart node. So it's pretty simple. There's a lot of information about the product itself on our webpage. So don't worry, you don't have to write the link down now to your notebook. So you're going to get a follow-up email with all the information in there containing the slides, the recording of the webinar, and also the links that are useful. So how this is being ordered, so it's a very flexible solution as you saw it. So we broke that down, the different functionalities into different licenses. Now, depending on the use case that you have, we prepared for you actually. So if you have a SIP trunking use case, here are the licenses that you need to purchase. Those licenses are going to go into your cloud account from where you can then obtain those for your virtual smart nodes. The cloud plans listed again here. So for operation of a virtual smart node, you require at least a standard cloud plan, but of course also advanced and the professional cloud plan works, and it gives you additional functionalities that are even useful using or operating a virtual smart node.
Real quick, Mark, I wanted to mention that in addition to what we're doing, we also have a free trial available on the webpage. So please feel free to request your free trial so you can get used to that virtual smart node. This is a great opportunity once you start the free trial to ask questions and also provide any feedback that you have.
Exactly. Excellent. Thank you, Jennifer. So here, the link for the free trial, but again, you're going to get the link later in the follow-up email. So it's really easy, as Jennifer mentioned, a few clicks, you're going to own your free trial of virtual SmartNode that you can test and play around with, or even start using it for customer installations. Just going back to the ordering process, nothing special, nothing really new here. So just go to one of our channels, our resellers, where you can order the virtual smart nodes and the corresponding licenses for the patent cloud. So they have been briefed from us, so they know what you're going to be talking about if you ask for a virtual smart node. Then once this step is done, you're going to get the credentials for your login for the patent cloud to get started with it. So that's really the standard process. Good. So just again to highlight the virtual smart node and its benefits. So there is no hardware, no shipment required anymore. So it's instantly available. You can just go ahead, download the software image from the patent website. So once you're logged in, you can choose which kind of virtualized infrastructure you have, whether it's a VirtualBox or KVM or whatever. So choose your right image, download it, and then you can install your virtual smart node. There is no capex with the virtual smart node. So among others, among competitors, so there is no need for a local installation of a local element management system, which is the case for some of our competitors, as we know, and as you probably know as well. So everything is done through the centrally managed patent cloud, which again also doesn't involve any capex, no installation, no setup. Everything is just available there. Good. The free trial we talked about. Now we still have a few minutes for some questions, if there are any.
Sure. We have a couple questions here for you, Mark. So Jack from California, he was asking, how can we use the SmartNode with an FXS or FXO?
Right. So in this case, FXS, FXO still requires hardware, of course. In this case, I suggest using one of our great ATAs. So like a 4141, or there's going to be a new SmartNode small ATA, the SN200. We're going to launch in the next weeks. So stay tuned for next webinar invitation on that. So those ATAs can, of course, be used in conjunction with a virtual smart node acting as an SBC. So that would be the perfect solution for you.
Perfect. And Tom is wondering, is this configuration based on Trinity?
Absolutely. So it's really everything that you've learned working with the latest operating system running on smart nodes. You can just reuse with the virtual smart node. So there's no difference. And the same goes with the interoperability. So the interop we have done with other partners, whether it's IPPBX systems like 3CX, for instance, or also with Skype for Business. So it's the same on the virtual smart node.
Perfect. And then Ian wants to know, can the cloud work with the smartware products?
Well, there is generally a no. I'm very sorry. However, when it goes down to redirect, so the redirect functionality for zero-touch provisioning, so this part and only this part is working with smartware-based products. But since we have the patent cloud ready and launched, and it's operational since quite a while, providing a great feature set, but it's requiring the Trinity operating system. So we really streamlined our SmartNode product portfolio to have everything working with the patent cloud that everyone can benefit from all the features. So we're pretty close to be there at that point, so that all the smart nodes are running the cloud capable software. So there is one thing, the SN200 I just mentioned, that's one of the next steps to do the full migration over to the new operating system that can be fully utilized, what the features the cloud provides. So that's what we are working on.
Okay. And one last question here from Jeff. Jeff said, how about connecting a remote IP camera to a hosted 3CX or other hosted IPVX so cameras can call out with an alert?
Well, the cameras is something else. So unless the cameras are using the SIP protocol, session initiation protocol, then it could go through an SBC. However, if the smart node is being used as an IP router, then of course it can handle the traffic of your IP camera.
Okay, that looks like that's all the questions that we have today for you, Mark.
Very good. Thanks for bringing up the questions, Jennifer, but of course, thank you, a big thank you to the audience for listening in today and learning more about the latest products that we have, and especially the virtual smart node here. And yeah, as I said, there's going to be more product launches we're going to do in the next week, so stay tuned for upcoming announcements, invites. And at this point, I just want to say thank you for your time, and I'm looking forward to seeing you sometime soon. And thanks,
Thank you, Mark.
Jennifer, for your help.
My pleasure. All right, looking forward to see some virtual free trials.
Yes, we are ready for that. So place your order today. We're looking forward to that. Very good. Thanks to everyone. I wish you all a nice and successful day. Thank you.